TSN.
Racing in its purest form. Real cars on real roads, real fast. It's the Subaru Canadian Rally Championship on TSN. Hello again, everyone. Vic Roeder along with Paul Chater in Calgary, Alberta for round 4. It's the Rocky Mountain Rally on TSN, and it's brought to you by Subaru, the beauty of all-wheel drive, and by Yokohama Performance Radials. Yokohama, now you've got control.
Last week, Frank Sprongel, the dominant driver in recent years, was pushed to the limit by 3 different teams. Subaru Canada has Tom McGear in a brand new Impreza, which may now be the fastest car in the series. Sylvain Vincent has his private Subaru Lachute entry running with more power, and Jean-Marc Alcaraz was finally able to use the 417 horsepower developed by his ferocious little Mazda. At the finish, just 32 seconds covered the top 4. Sprongel won, but damaged his Audi's motor, and it blew up on the way to the first special stage. Today, he's out before the rally starts.
And then there's Tom McGear, who should benefit, but you know what? Tom's not here either.
Tom and Trish just had a baby together, and he thought he should stay home with her, so he gave me the opportunity to drive his fine car.
Tom McGear has left his fast new Impreza in very capable hands. John Buffum is the 11-time U.S. national champion. McGear needed a top substitute driver to win manufacturer's points for Subaru and to take points away from his rivals. Unquestionably the most successful North American rally driver ever, Buffum has been the man to beat for more than 30 years.
Now these days, Paul, he is semi-retired, concentrating on running the Hyundai team in the U.S., but whenever he gets behind the wheel in a competitive car, well, as he proved at Charlevoix last fall, Buffum is a winner.
Mark Williams is McGear's regular co-driver this season. He was introduced to the Canadian team by Buffum, for whom he's co-driven many, many times.
And you know it's not McGear because there are 2 hands on the wheel. Now the car number 3 will be the privately entered Eagle Talon, driven by Barry and Sandra Latray from Cornwall, Ontario. They had a great run last week at the Bighorn Rally. They finished 5th, but won some stages outright against some extremely strong competition. Best of all, the car ran perfectly.
Vic, their engine is said to pump out well over 400 horsepower, but its power characteristics have not always suited Barry's rather enthusiastic driving style. A new anti-lag system on the turbocharger has made the car much more drivable, and Barry just can't stop grinning.
And what must be really nice for them, Paul, is the fact that they know they can be competitive against, well, maybe faster cars, and maybe not necessarily faster, but cars that have bigger sponsorships.
Yeah, and for the first time, they've been together a long time. They've always run well. He's having a few problems, overcooked it a bit in that turn, had to get a lower gear.
The number 4, Sylvain Vincent, Dominic Cyr from La Plaque, Quebec, have finished 3rd in each of the first 3 events this season. They trail McGear and Sprongel in the points chase, so this is a great opportunity to catch up when the 2 leaders will not score any points. They're sponsored by Subaru Lachute and Yokohama.
Texas Gate. 2. 1, Texas Gate.
The Texas Gate is a grid of pipes set into the road that the livestock can't cross, but a car can certainly drive over, and Sylvain loves racing in Alberta. These roads are fast and well suited to his smooth, almost racing line technique. He had a great run last week, finishing just 1 second behind Tom McGear and proving that he can match the pace of any driver in this championship.
Y droite. Garde la droite.
The only problem for them last week was engine overheating from long periods of high revs and the high turbo boost. And you remember they had to run most of the Bighorn Rally with the heater on and the windows down, which caused the air to fill with smoke and dust, and, well, it was very uncomfortable for them.
This week they've added some ducts to improve the cooling, but you can see there's still a lot of dust blowing around inside this car. It's going to be a long day for Dominique.
Jean-Marc Alcaraz, Shirley Normandine. Jean-Marc is from Saint-Lambert-de-Lévis, and Shirley lives in Laval.
Their extremely powerful Mazda GTR was working well last week, winning or tying on 6 different stages. The acceleration out of the slow corners is breathtaking. In the early stages of this event, they were running 1 second a kilometer slower than Buffum. Jean-Marc has yet to win his first national rally.
Oh, he's fighting it there. He
Yeah.
can't get the power down, obviously. So we're nicely underway here in the Rocky Mountain Rally. And Buffum, filling in for McGear, has built up a 17-second lead.
This car has the same engine design as the Porsche 911. More horsepower than the BMW 318. And the superior handling of all-wheel drive. In fact, it has the same features that helped us win 3 straight World Rally Championships. We thought you'd say that. The Impreza TS from Subaru. Bringing World Rally excitement to the streets.
Imagine, if you will, driving in a world where tires from Yokohama dominate the track with speed, grip, and control. Imagine what this can mean to you. Greater stopping distance, more response, more of the kind of performance you want most in a tire. Imagine. Fantasy? I don't think so. It's Yokohama. Yokohama. Now you've got control.
Hey, Granddad.
Yeah?
Man, that's cold.
Cold. You don't know cold, college boy. When I was a boy, I had to walk 20 miles to school in 3 feet of snow. Uphill. In my father's pajamas.
Tim Hortons Ice Cap. It's creamy, it's smooth, it's deep down cool.
Smart guy.
From coast to coast for close to 70 years. After decades of testing and billions of kilometers on the road, the Gunk family of automotive products has continued to stand tall through many generations. From lubricants to sealants to cleaners to performance additives. And through it all, we've managed to withstand the harshest test of all, the test of time. Trusted by Canadians since 1931. Available everywhere, including Canadian Tire, Auto Parts Plus, and home hardware stores.
Welcome back to the Rocky Mountain Rally here on TSN. And John Buffum subbing for Tom McGear, getting used to that new Subaru, Paul.
He's adjusted the brake balance and tire pressures more to his liking, and now he is flying. He's driving at a comfortable pace, but pulling away from the rest of the field.
All right, let's ride along with the master, the 11-time U.S. champion.
Now, watch how smooth he is here, Vic. You'll notice that he's left foot braking. He's not using the clutch at all to downshift. He's using it to upshift. Now, notice how smooth he is with his feet. Now, if you can, his hands...
Oh, did you see the deer on the side of the road?
Amazing. But you notice how he's not really feathering the throttle, and he's not pounding on the pedals. It's a very, very liquid movement. And the instruction you see in the middle there is a tulip diagram from the old tulip rally in the Netherlands where they were invented. You enter by the dot, leave by the arrow. That's the instruction that Williams is seeing in his route book.
That lock. Lock, from lock to lock, left to right.
And so smooth.
And look what's off on the right-hand side, should you go off.
In 30, left it wide.
It's remarkable that he could jump into this car, never have seen it, driven it, and go this fast.
Vic, he's got so much experience. I mean, more than 30 years. He's driven the greatest World Championship cars. In fact, he ran the Portuguese World Championship rally this year. So I think he instinctively knows where the limit of the car is. And that comes from 30 years of being one of the best rally drivers on the continent.
If I might say, it's unfortunate that the Sprongles aren't here, having overcooked their motor, because it would have been terrific to see the battle of two of North America's finest rally drivers.
We should also not forget Williams, who we see in the lower right corner. Look how calm he is. Now, this is an extraordinarily fast road for a rally. It's smooth, and because it's up in the mountains, there are some verges on his side of the car.
In 30.
Now, those 3 hash marks on the side of that instruction means there is exposure. Nice term for a straight drop-off.
I wonder how much of his driving now is by instinct.
Some of it certainly is by instinct, Vic. Some of it by memory as well. They've run this road earlier in the day. Still, it's 20 kilometers long, but a good rally driver has a good memory.
He remembers every pimple on the road. Jean-Marc Alcaraz averaged 99K, second fastest, but 16 seconds slower than Buffum. He's still losing a second per K, but he loves Alberta. Whoa!
It's difficult to drive fast like John Buffum drive, because he's an incredible driver. But we try to stay in front of Sylvain Vincent, and it's not so hard. So I will be happy if I finish in the second place.
Jean-Marc sounds a little intimidated by John Buffum, but he's also contesting the championship and knows that Buffum won't be a factor. So Alcaraz needs maximum points against the Canadian regulars like Barry Letray.
Letray in the White Eagle Talon was in 3rd place at the start of stage 6, but just 3 seconds ahead of Sylvain Vincent.
And Vincent struggling to stay close. The Subaru's not handling perfectly, and the engine's overheating once again, which means turning the heater on full. On stage 6, Vincent and Cyr would beat the Letrays by 12 seconds to move into 3rd.
Now, Letray would not know until the end of the stage that Vincent has found a little bit more speed. Letray would then try to increase his pace, and while the 2 leading cars are content to back off a bit, the fight for 3rd is so fierce that neither Vincent or Letray can relax.
And Barry's hauling on that wheel a lot. You can see he's getting tremendous amount of oversteer in some of the turns. Full opposite lock. Now he's got almost terminal understeer. Quick, get the tail out, get it straightened out and down the straightaway.
Ici, rough à l'intérieur, courbe droite.
As we watch Sylvain and Dominique through the same corners, notice how dusty it's getting inside the cockpit. You can see a duct on the right side that's been fitted to blow some cool air into the cockpit. But the problem is in the corners, it's just blowing dust. Okay, Vincent and Letray would trade seconds on their stage times, with the margin rarely getting more than 10 seconds. It was a tremendous fight. Ooh, hard on the brakes.
And where is he? There he is. So the leaderboard through 7 stages. Buffum leads Alcaraz by over a minute. Another minute back Vincent, who now is 13 seconds ahead of Letray. The class leaders, Gord Olson, Kathy Olson from Brooks, Alberta in Group 2.
Patrick Richard of Vancouver leads the GT class by 1 second over the American team of Brian Scott from Michigan and David Watts in Scott's number 11 Eagle Turbo. The race between these 2 rivals would go right to the very end.
It's a race for the helicopter to keep up with the leaders so far, and that's Buffum.
Now, we'll get an opportunity here to see how daunting some of these roads can be. Think about being in that right seat with a route book with those kinds of drop-offs on your side of the road while the guy next to you is driving as fast as he possibly can.
20.
That's cool and calm.
And Buffum, if I understand correctly, he recommended Mark Williams to Tom Magear. So Buffum has an understanding of how Williams works. If they were totally new to each other, then there might not be that coolness.
No, there's got to be good communication and a sense of what each is doing. The co-driver really has to read what the driver's doing and know how much to warn him in advance. It's real teamwork. And look at this. Buffum's just flying.
Found interesting there on the hard 90 right. He almost throws it sideways, lets it stop, and then bites and goes in. He doesn't lose any momentum.
On these roads, it's really too bad the Sprongles haven't got their Audi in this. It would be a really interesting battle.
And look how much better, how much smoother he gets through that hard left as compared to Sylvain Vincent, who we saw earlier almost go into a four-wheel drift.
Now watch Buffum here over another Texas gate.
Sorry about that. That's a dangerous one. Put that down.
Put that down. They're going to run this stage again. They don't want to make the same mistake. He got a little airborne.
So the leaderboard through 8. Buffum continues to lead. Alcaraz, the gap between Vincent and Latreille is still 13. Brian Scott has moved ahead of Patrick Richard into 5th place.
Nigel, he cut my head off. Did you see that? He cut my head off.
What a wuss.
Now playing on PlayStation, rated T for teens.
PlayStation.
You want your savings to grow. Okay. How? Other banks pay almost no interest. Stocks are a gamble. And you don't want to tie up your money. With ING Direct, you earn high interest, pay no service charges, and you can always get at your money. Still wondering what is the catch? None. You just didn't have a choice before. Call 1-800-ING Direct and save your money.
So I finally get to see your place.
Yeah, this is it.
It's interesting.
Hey, you want to go out for pizza?
Can't they deliver? I mean, can't we stay in?
Okay. Wait here and I'll...
In goes McCain Rising Crust Pizza. The crust rises up crispy and tender.
Excuse me?
Nothing.
It's loaded with toppings.
It's good.
Yeah?
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It was fast, too. They always deliver to your back door?
Yeah.
McCain Rising Crust Pizza. Who can tell it from takeout?
You are my adversary, but you are not my enemy. For your resistance gives me strength. Your will gives me courage. Your spirit ennobles me. And though I aim to defeat you, should I succeed, I will not humiliate you. Instead, I will honor you. For without you, I am a lesser man.
Tuesday, Canada's brand of wide-open football is back on TSN. Catch an Eastern shootout at Skydome as the Argos challenge the Alouettes. CFL live and kicking only on TSN.
Welcome back to the Rocky Mountain Rally. Dick Reuter along with Paul Chater, and Buffum and Williams continue to win every stage.
In 20, medium left at Y.
In 20, medium left at Y means he's got a medium speed left-hand turn right there. This is all downhill, and he's really moving.
Exposure.
There's the exposure, straight down into the trees if you make a mistake.
That's exposing yourself to an awful lot. Meanwhile, Alcaraz has conceded the win. He'll be happy with second and keep his lead over Sylvain Vincent.
The closest fight is for the lead in the production GT class. Patrick Richard is back in front by 3 seconds. Just 1 year ago, Richard showed up with those memorable roof racks on his first ever rally.
It was quite an experience to go to your first rally. I mean, we didn't really know much about the sport. Going back then, I didn't really know anything about car control, didn't know anything about tires, didn't know what suspension was for. I was running a stock car, totally stock. I've learned that you need to learn about driving, you need to learn about discipline, you need to learn about self-control. And I've always wanted to rally. It's been a childhood dream of mine. And after getting into the sport and realizing that it was such a great thing, my goal was to someday, eventually, get to the level where we could, do the full series and contest for championships. And for me to achieve the goal of someday to be able to contest for a production GT championship, I want to get as much seat time as possible.
Richard was a very successful border cross racer, and he gives that sport credit for giving him balance and the composure when the car leaves the ground.
I like to take a lot of air. If you look at a lot of photos I get, all the press shots I have, I got a lot of air shots. I got shots of the car this high off the ground, I got shots of the car going sideways in the air, all crossed up in the air, but we always seem to land pretty good. You know, I've had to learn how to take jumps this year. You know, I think, really from my perspective, the proper way might be to not get as much air as I've been getting, but I sure like to do it, so.
Patrick Richard, computer entrepreneur, snowboarder, and rally star in the making. He is currently leading the North American, Canadian, and U.S. GT championships. But Vic, he's got his hands full here.
After 5 stages, Paul, Richard Subaru was leading GT class by 5 seconds over Brian Scott and the Eagle.
Stage 6 was a tie.
On stage 7, Scott wins and closes the gap to just 1 second.
Scott wins again on the long uphill stage 8 to move into an 8-second lead.
Richard battles back, though, retaking the GT lead by 1 second on stage 9.
Richard wins again on stage 10, stretching his lead to 5 seconds.
Then on stage 11, Scott storms to an 8-second win, and he moves ahead by 3.
And on stage 12, Richard moves back in front with just 2 stages to go. Both drivers say the pace is reckless, but neither will back off.
It's great stuff. Another Eagle versus Subaru fight is the race for 3rd overall between Sylvain Vincent and this Eagle Talon of Barry and Sandra Latreille.
On stage 9, Vincent stretched the gap to 22 seconds, but on stage 10, the 2 teams tied.
As we ride along with Vincent and Cyr in their Subaru Impreza, and again, how dusty the interior of that car is.
Dans 3 downhill, hairpin gauche.
Now on stage 11, if you can believe this, Latreille actually beat Buffum. He beat Alcaraz, only to then be tied again by Vincent.
Both drivers are using the same medium compound Yokohama rally tires. In the tight and twisty sections, the Lachute Subaru was quicker, but on the steep uphill climbs and high-speed sections, the Eagle would catch up.
I wonder if that just happens to be the weight of the cars. If you're going uphill and you need the bite, maybe there's some front-end weight in that Eagle Talon.
Some of it's also driver preference. On roads like this, sometimes it's a little daunting going downhill when you've got your foot right in it.
Probably the best race Sylvain Vincent I've had in years. Both our cars are holding up, seems to be pretty good. Last couple of stages, we traded fastest stage times, like equal. We're going as hard as we can. He's about 24 seconds ahead of me, and I'm trying for him. That gives me one more position on the podium. Haven't been there for a while.
So with just 2 long stages to go, the top 4 look set, but the fight for 5th overall don't go away.
This car has the same engine design as the Porsche 911. More horsepower than the BMW 318. And the superior handling of all-wheel drive. In fact, it has the same features that helped us win 3 straight World Rally Championships. We thought you'd say that. The Impreza TS from Subaru. Bringing World Rally excitement to the streets.
Imagine, if you will, driving in a world where tires from Yokohama dominate the track with speed, grip, and control. Imagine what this could mean to you. Greater stopping distance, more response, more of the kind of performance you want most in a tire. Imagine. Fantasy? I don't think so. It's Yokohama. Yokohama. Now you've got control.
Laura Paxton's winning coin design is all about. Collect a new 25-cent Millennium coin each month and celebrate a future full of promise.
Formula One racing, an unforgiving discipline that rewards perpetual fine-tuning and penalizes anything less. And it's back on track on TSN. Get rev for round 10 of the Formula One season at the Austrian Grand Prix. Saturday, the qualifying countdown continues. Sunday, it's race day live from the A1 ring. Formula One 2000. See it, live it, TSN.
Welcome back to the Rocky Mountain Rally. Just 2 stages to go, and they're long stages. And no, it's not a forest fire, it's dust. Can you believe this, Paul? All the dust from the 5 fast cars in front of this driver, the American Brian Scott.
His duel with Patrick Richard is coming right to the end. Both drivers say they're pushing too hard, coming too close to crashing, but do you think either of them will lift that foot out of the throttle? Once again, the more powerful turbocharged Eagle has the edge in the uphill sections, and the lighter Subaru gains on the downhill bits where braking and carrying speed is essential.
Now, because of the dust, what is the interval usually? They set you off at, is it 1 minute?
At 1 minute intervals, and you can see at this point the wind is high enough that it is clearing the dust away between the cars.
As you say, lots of exposure for Patrick Richard.
This is stage 13, which favored the Eagle. Richard in the Subaru was just pushing as hard as he could for more speed. Oh! Oops, that's the end of that rally.
And thankfully, Paul, both seem to be okay, but that is where that GT race ends. Brian Scott was the first to arrive on the scene, and he stopped by to ask if Richard was all right. He said yes, and so Scott would drive on. As we come up now to the finish line, and what a great run by John Buffum as he fills in for Tom McGeer to pick up the win in a very fast Subaru here at the Rocky Mountain Rally.
It was great. I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to drive the car. They've done a very good job. Subaru is fantastic. Very good.
And a great finish for Jean-Marc Alcaraz and Shirley Normandie.
Another trouble-free run. Sponsorship from DCA Transports allowed them to develop this Mazda into a very serious contender. Second is their best ever result. But look at all the hand gestures. It looks like they've lost their intercom yet again.
But a terrific second-place finish. Vincent and Cyr finished third. That's the 4th time this season. And again, our big winners in the championship, with rivals McGeer and Sprongel scoring no points. The Quebec pair are now in 2nd place, just 1 point behind the leader.
Barry Letray finishes 4th, while 5th spot and first production GT goes to Brian Scott and David Watts after a tremendous drive.
Yes, we did. Pat went off, not on this stage, but one back. We stopped. He was okay. They flipped his car back over, and he should be the last car on the road, but we kept it on the road, and we had the duel all day. You know, we'd like to think that we pushed him, and he pushed us, and we would have liked to win on the stages, but, you know, he went off, and we didn't, so.